Hello, everyone. It's the InvestorSmith coming back to you. It's July 2020, all right? And my financial message today to you guys are for the new investors, the new stock investors. Do not panic, all right? CNBC confirmed that 3.1 million new users were added to Robinhood. All right, these are 3.1 new investors. All right, I'm just going to give you guys a few pointers as to what to do when it comes to stock investing. All right, now we are turning a corner right now. Right now, you've noticed on the market lately there's been some decline now, right? The market is kind of cooling off. All right, when you add 3.1 million users, there's going to be a flux in demand, and now what you guys see is a cooling off of that demand. All right, so not a lot of things are going as they were before. All right, and you want to basically assess your stocks and see what you have at this point. All right, so a lot of times with new users or new stock investors, you stock they hop in on trends or just the hottest stock, right? So the corner that we're turning now is that this time, the first stock crash was based off fear. Now this next approaching decline or crash, if you will be on the facts alone. All right. So the first was based on coronavirus fear, and that's when the new users came, and then they profited because it was off of fear alone, and the facts haven't come out yet. Now the facts are coming out. Now, what are the facts? The facts are that Foot Lockers are closing stores. Stores like or commercial real estate that housed models will no longer be housing models anymore, right? So now the facts are coming out, right? And I warned in my last video against the traveling stocks, right? So everybody feared about the traveling stocks, that they knew that they would suffer, but now the facts are going to come out, and what the big investors focus on, they focus on the facts. All right. Now, there's been a cat and mouse game with the 3.1 million new users of Robinhood, the new investors. There's been a cat and mouse game between the big investors and the older investors. I mean, and the big investors and the new investors, right? So they knew what companies that these new investors will be looking at, and so they positioned themselves to be in there. So that's why you've seen stocks that did not make sense accelerating, or stocks that did not make sense profiting, and then you've seen stocks that should be profiting declining because these big investors were taking position elsewhere and capitalizing off of new investors. All right, so that's one thing you got to keep in mind. All right, now they're going to start focusing on the facts, and they're going to get back to the game that the original game of stock investing. All right, now with new investors, this is certain things that I want you guys to incorporate in your game. You have to do several things. All right, so I'm just going to start off with this. I I'm in a group on Facebook, and I do not know the exact name of it, but I seen a new investor say, "Oh, I have this in American Airlines. I had bought at American Airlines at $9. I'm at $18. Should I cash out?" Yes, you cash out, okay? You got to take your profits and go, all right? Don't be so naive as to think that you doubling is going to happen again, all right? And, that's the worst position you can be. You got to get in the habit of taking your profits and going, all right? You got to get an entry strategy, all right? You cannot get in because of a hot, you can't look at these things on CNBC or somebody getting interviewed and then they say their stock is where it's supposed to be. You can't just go off that. You got to do your research. All right, research, charting, evaluate the stock. You have to be comfortable with the direction of your money. All right, now you got to be realistic. All right, you got to be realistic about it. You can't just do it off of an edge, off of a hunch, or follow the leader. All right, now you have to. Now what I said was we're approaching the time of the first crash of Corona was based off fear. The second will be off of the facts alone, right? In this second half of the year, July 2020. Now, you have to position yourself just as you did the last time to capitalize on that on these discounts or these drops or the crash. You have to have some cash on the side. All right. So some of those positions that did not make sense, you want to go ahead and cash out while the getting is good. Do not be greedy. You gotta be realistic. All right. So part of being realistic, I want to give you an example. You cannot go off a lot of, this is a common new investor rhetoric or thing in their head. Oh, the 52-week high, going off the 52-week high. You can't invest. This is the same guy who he invested in American Airlines. He invested in what you call that, Boeing as well, and he got in at 100, and I think it was at like 180, and he said, well, their 52-week high is 360. Now, Boeing airplanes, their 52-week high happened September 2019, at a time where traveling was at its peak, where consumer confidence in traveling was at its peak, millennials vacationing was at its peak, uh, uh, corporate America was thriving and jobs were available. Now, their 52-week high happened at a time like no other. All right, so you cannot base of something that's on a 52-week high. You can't expect a 52-week high to occur without the same input that made the 52-week high occur. All right, so that's the most unrealistic view of a new investor is, oh, I'm going to stay in until it reaches 52-week high. In order to create that condition again, the company has to be ripe. It has to create that whole scenario once again. All right, the right economy, the right people, the right customer, the right product. You have to mix all those things to create that 52-week high. So don't be unrealistic. All right. So that was this week's Money Matters lessons. All right. Do not panic. All right. You're going to, with the new in stock investors, what you got to understand is there's going to be downs. There's going to be downs. You thought that every day your money was going to ascend. No, you gotta do your research and make informed decisions as to what you want to do, and you got to have some money on the sidelines. If you focus on your facts and not fear, then you should be placing yourself in a good position. All right, so we're going to leave with that message. I will be back. So this second half, start positioning yourself, to capitalize. All right, position yourself. All right, and do not fear. All right, you want to focus on facts. All right. I love you guys. Share, like my video. Look at previous videos if you need to get caught up a little bit as to what companies to look at. The second half of this semester, or what you will, you want to focus on, companies that are well positioned for the coronavirus crisis, no matter what. All right. So companies like mentioned in my stock dialogue was Clorox or even Lysol. You want to focus in on and Walmart. Okay, they are positioned that in no way, shape, or form should they suffer throughout. That's the things that you want to focus on. All right, be good, guys. I'll see you next time.